Welcome to the Holistic Health Bites podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Nicholson, crime scene investigator turned functional health investigator. This podcast is here to share bite-sized episodes and unique interviews on a wide variety of health topics to empower, enlighten, and educate you to live your best, most vibrant life. Disclaimer: all information you hear on this podcast is for information only and constitutes individual opinions of the person speaking. This should not be taken as medical advice. Being a listener of this show does not initiate a practitioner-client relationship between you and the hosts or panelists on this show. Please discuss these topics with your medical professionals before making any changes to your health. Okay, let's dive in. Welcome back to the Holistic Health Bites podcast. Today, I am joined with my special guest, Susie Day, and she's going to share a little bit about her personal journey with autoimmune conditions, specifically with rheumatoid arthritis. But this episode is going to be powerful for anyone who's dealing with autoimmune conditions or really anything chronic. That this is going to give you hope that there are answers, there are things you can do. So welcome today, Susie. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear your story. I know you've had quite the journey, and I would love to hear all about it. So, can you just kind of do a quick introduction and tell people a little bit about you?
Sure. Well, my name is Susie Day, and I was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis a little over 20 years ago. Went on the traditional medicine route at the beginning because you're in so much pain, just make it stop. Do anything to make it stop. And I did the traditional medicine for about 5 years, actually. But during that time, I noticed I was steadily getting worse. I had constant pain in my right knee that kept me awake at night. I got to the point where I couldn't even go up and down stairs with both feet. I only had to do one step at a time. I had constant flare-ups and endless pain, and it was scary. And I went from doctor to doctor before I finally got my diagnosis, and with no answers. They couldn't tell me, "Oh, your tests are fine, everything looks good." And when you're in excruciating pain and getting worse and I was to the point where I couldn't even stand up out of a chair. I mean, it really took some big effort. I couldn't raise my hands above my arms and hands above my head. My body was just, it was like shutting down, and it was very, very painful. Even to where like the sheets hurt my toes. It was just
Wow.
like very sensitive. Everything was very sensitive and just on fire. That's what I felt like. My whole body was on fire. So after the diagnosis, that at least I had something to work with, because it's the not knowing that is so much scarier than at least knowing what it is. Because I went for a year and a half not knowing and steadily getting worse and worse and worse. And so I got on the traditional medicine, got my diagnosis, was on it for about 5 years. But like I said, I wasn't getting any better. Not that I thought I would, but I thought it maybe maintained, but I was actually getting worse. And I tried to look out and see my future, and it didn't look very good. I saw wheelchairs and disability and not moving and lots and lots of pain. And and I just didn't, that just isn't how I saw my life, how I wanted my life to be. So my intuition kept telling me, kept tapping me on the shoulder, you need to do something different. You need to find another way. And I had the clue what that was going to be. I had no idea. But I knew if I didn't, and I just kept doing the same thing, it wasn't going to get any better. So I started my autoimmune rebalance journey, and I discovered food choices and energy medicine and mindfulness and essential oils for pain relief blends and all kinds of blends. And it was amazing what started to happen, because like the first thing I did was with food. That just seemed to make the most sense. Let's start with food. So I eliminated dairy. And when I eliminated dairy, I stopped having flare-ups. And I never have ever had one since. And that was over 15 years ago.
Wow. That's pretty
Ah,
impressive.
that is so exciting. I was just like, okay, let's keep going. So, I mean, I was determined. I was bound and determined that I was going to make myself well and cure myself and all of that. But what I discovered along the way was that determination and I'm going to make it happen. And that was actually causing, that was putting a roadblock, because you can't be in that hyper I'm going to do it stage and find relaxation and healing in the body. So that's where the mindfulness comes in. And so you have to just there's lots of pieces to the puzzle. It's not just one thing. And once I discovered, oh, I need to just relax here a little bit, and that helped. And then I discovered energy medicine, and within 1 month of doing daily energy work, I could walk up and down stairs with both feet again, and I had more energy and less pain, and it was just amazing. Another like big win. And yeah, and then the essential oils on top of that just helps with relaxation and pain blends and stomach blends and headache blends and you name it, calming blends and focus blends. So it's a lot more than just one thing. But it's so worth it. I just, it was a lot of work. And I think if I would have known that in the beginning, I would have like, oh, I don't know. But because that's what I get a lot of reactions from people. I don't know. I'm not going to give up my favorite food. I'm not doing that. And, but it's amazing when you start to feel better, then you get this motivation like, hey, there is hope. There is
Yeah.
hope.
Absolutely. I see that all the time in my clients too, who don't necessarily have autoimmune conditions, but that have other things that initially
Right.
they're resistant. They can't imagine their life without their pizza or without their soda or without whatever it is for them. They can't
Right.
imagine what that's going to look like. And
Yeah.
so it seems impossible. Like I can't live without whatever that is. And if they just give it a try, they're like, oh, I can totally live without that because I feel I got my life back. Like I have all these things I can do. I don't have those problems. I don't have to take all these meds. I don't have to take, all these whatever over the counter meds or prescription meds or, use all these relief aids because I
Right.
just feel amazing. And it's like, yeah, I can live without the whatever thing that I thought was my favorite thing ever. I couldn't live without.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing if you just give it a try. Now, of course, not everyone's going to have the first food they give up make the lifetime of difference like it did for you. It
Well,
might take a
actually,
few more tweaks, but
yeah. And actually, dairy wasn't the first thing I gave up, but that was
okay.
the one that I noticed like a profound difference, because I love dairy. I fought it. I mean, I fought it every step of the way, giving up my dairy because I love sour creams and cheeses and all the ooey gooey cheesy dairy stuff. But I don't miss it a bit. And what I encourage my clients to do is find a replacement, because there are replacements. We're only human. Of course, we love certain foods. There's a lot of times they're comfort foods, but there's two things that I recommend is first find a replacement. So, like for me, I found coconut milk and coconut-based products, which are delicious and they're so much better for me. I digest better, I feel better, I don't have any flare-ups anymore, my pain level is very minimal. And the next thing when choosing to make changes is know that you're choosing this. No one's forcing you. And because a lot of times we're like, oh my God, I can never, I can't imagine not eating that again or not doing this, that, or the other again. And but like you said, then there's such a like, wow, I don't miss that at all. So it's pretty cool. So yeah, there's always that. It starts here first, really.
For sure.
Oh, and
So what other foods beyond dairy have you seen be the biggest drivers for people that if they give that thing up or at least severely, reduce whatever it is,
yeah,
what makes the biggest difference in your clients?
yeah, I think dairy for sure, gluten and dairy like probably the top three are gluten, dairy, and sugar. Sugar is a killer in so many ways. It's so addictive. And it's in everything. So it's really hard to completely give it up because you'll find it in every single thing. And I remember doing a candida cleanse years ago, and you had to give up all sugar. And I was like, oh, that'll be easy. I don't eat candy bars and do all that or drink pop. And I was like, oh my God, sugar is in everything.
It is. Yep.
So you just have to, find the least, what is it? The least, I can't think of the word I want to use. The least harmful, I guess.
Yeah.
And there are better sugars. In fact, the artificial sugars are 10 times worse for your body and mind than just plain old sugar.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to give up sugar, which, people, it's their choice, then get rid of the artificial stuff. Stop drinking, or stop eating aspartame, and even agave is not very good. And, but there are different sugars, coconut sugar, just plain old table, sugar, honey and maple syrup, those are a more natural source, but even still, it's still sugar. Sugar is sugar. Yep, unfortunately. Yep. Nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. And I would agree that those are the top three foods that are probably at the root of most chronic conditions, not just autoimmune conditions, but I mean, those certainly play into digestive dysfunctions and diabetes and blood sugar and insulin resistance issues and brain fog and cognitive decline and joint pains. And I mean, you name it, those three are the top three for kind of all the things. So, of course, there's individual variations and things, but those would be kind of the top places to start for pretty much any health condition, including just weight. If you just want to lose weight, those are probably top three.
Yeah. And that's just a bonus side effect.
Yeah, for sure.
To lose a little bit of weight. I mean, I think we all want to lose a couple pounds or more at certain times in our life. But yeah, I think once we do it, we realize it's not as scary or horrible as we thought it was going to be. Because there are replacements. And that's the thing. I think if we try to eliminate it all and don't fill it with something else, then we really then the mind game comes in. We feel deprived and, I'm, poor me and all that stuff. I've been there at certain times, like, oh my gosh, I wish my, artichoke dip, that creamy dip. I used to love that. My quesadillas. Now I found a gluten-free wraps, and I can make I did actually find a recipe for artichoke dip with the base was I think it was cashews. That's right. Cashews was the base, or almonds, any kind of nut, like a white nut, can do that. And it was really good. So
nice. Yeah, there's so many great alternatives and choices out there now that regardless of what it is you're trying to get away from, there's a better alternative for you.
Absolutely.
And so, you just have to be willing to be creative and try different things. And if the first recipe doesn't work, try the second recipe, try something different. There's always options out there. I love that.
Yes.
Let's pivot a little bit to, are there good foods that people should prioritize to add into their life that can either be soothing or help with the pain management or, any of those things? Are there good foods to prioritize?
Well, yes, absolutely. I think a plant-based diet is super important overall. They say your plate should be like 50% just plant, vegetables mainly, leafy greens mainly, I should say, even more than vegetables, because the leafy greens have so much. They're just packed with nutrition. And vegetables, a little bit of fruit, because most fruit has sugar. So you got to really watch your fruit intake as well. I think Granny Smith apples are probably have the least amount of sugar. So, and they're pretty good. They're a little tartar than sweet, but they're still really good. And just lower the amount of meat even that you eat, and look for organic foods, non-GMO. Try to stay away from anything that's in a can or really processed. So yeah, but I'd say like greens are a huge part. Sprouts, all these things, they feed us. They feed the cells in our body and they help us to really feel so much better.
Awesome. Let's pivot a little bit to the energy medicine side of things. Can you
Yeah,
just kind of define what that even means for people who maybe are like, I don't even know what that means. What is
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a 3,000-year-old practice, and it's based on well, if anybody has heard of Reiki, that it's very similar, but it's much broader overall. There's specific exercises and movements that you can do daily to help keep your energies balanced. That's really the main goal, is to rebalance all of our energy systems. Because in this world that we live in, with all the EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, and the foods and the air, it's just, it's just a lot our bodies have to deal with
Yeah.
to try to, yeah, to stay good and feel good. So I do something called the daily energy routine, and it's from the Eden Method is the company. And like I said, when I discovered that, I learned that the DER, and I did it every day for 30 days, and I couldn't believe my improvement. I was like, I can go up and down stairs, when you can't do simple things like that
Ah,
a long time, and then you can, that's like a big win. And it was,
life-changing.
yeah, it was life-changing. It was great. And I still can, I just do it every day. But it's just simple things, like crossing your energies over. There's something called a calming hold. You can put your hand on your forehead and the back of your head and just close your eyes and breathe. And it's very calming for the nervous system. And gosh, there's just all kinds. I mean, it's so many. It would be hard to try to go through all of them, but just simple techniques. And this is all something that I teach in my autoimmune rebalance program: foods and energy medicine and the mindfulness but yeah, energy medicine, the core purpose of it is to balance the energies in our bodies.
That's awesome. That's a great explanation of it. And that you've mentioned mindfulness a couple of times. So how does it differ from just the regular energy work? And, kind of what would be practices associated with mindfulness?
I think like tapping. I don't know if you're familiar with tapping, but tapping is a very mindful exercise. We start at our karate chop point, and then we go through all these tapping points on the face, and they're meridian lines that we're tapping on. And it really can help us, because a lot of times the stinking thinking gets in there, and it says, for me, I can't eat my favorite foods, and why did this happen to me, this situation, this disease, this pain, this accident, whatever it is. And we can just get lost in that, in our mind. We get lost in our mind of the negativity, and we can stay trapped there sometimes, and then we're in depression. And so tapping and moving energy that way can be a very great mindfulness practice. Meditation is another great one. Just something as simple as sitting here and closing our eyes and just imagining all the energy from the day is coming back to us. It's coming back to our body. And we let go of everything else, and we're just right in the moment. And that's probably one of the biggest savers, because a lot of times life's so busy and we do struggle with different things, jobs, families, friends, kids, disabilities, health issues. We struggle with a lot. And when we get all scattered emotionally, it's harder to really deal with things. So if we can learn to bring our energy back to our body, to our core, and just breathe into it and let everything else go, even if it's just for a moment, That's okay. It just allows us to get grounded and recentered. And then when we can do that, then we can handle what's next. And sometimes you have to do it several times a day.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we're going through a lot of stress and it's
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, here I go again, every hour on the hour. But that's okay. If we
Right.
need it, we can do that. But yeah, so tapping, meditation, walking, being out in nature is a great balancer. And if you can go barefoot, that's even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, all of this applies just like we talked about with the food. These are all foundational things that will help any chronic condition.
Yes, absolutely.
Stress is 100% an underlying factor to every chronic condition, every health condition, everything, even acute illnesses. Frankly, if you're under high stress, you're far more likely to pick up a cold, to get sick, any of those things. Really,
Right.
stress is the huge underlying factor that makes you more susceptible and makes the thing worse once you do get it.
That's
So
right. That's
any
right.
of these practices that can calm your stress, even like you said, for a moment, are going to be life-changing. They're going to make an impact in how well your body can handle it, how well you can recover from it, how well you can reverse it, all the things. So I think all of the times that we can get out of that go state and really
Yeah.
tap into what's called the parasympathetic nervous system instead
Yes.
of the sympathetic nervous system that is always, ready to fight and get
Yes.
things done. We need to calm and do the opposite. So I think this is all powerful advice, even outside of the autoimmune realm.
Oh,
So thank you so much for
absolutely.
sharing all that.
You're welcome. And it's funny because even when it's positive energy that's going, that can be
Yeah,
stressful.
it still is.
So yeah, it's still stress
Yeah.
on our bodies and our minds and everything. So yeah, just getting centered and getting grounded. And if you have to do it several times a day, that's okay. That's
Yeah.
that's going to help you move forward and start from ground zero in a sense. And
Yeah. Probably the more often you can do it, the better.
I think
Even if
so.
it's a minute at a time, do it several
Ah,
times throughout the day. You're still
absolutely.
going to be light years ahead. So yeah, I love that. So
Absolutely.
lastly, let's talk a little bit about the essential oils. How do you use them? What are some of your favorite oils and for what purposes? And, are there any like things we should know, warnings or, ways not to use them or ways maybe people or pets or things that shouldn't be exposed?
Yes, all of that. Well, okay, so I probably one of my favorite oils is rosemary oil. Rosemary oil is a warming oil, and I make a really nice blend for joint pain. And I put it on my knees and my elbow and my wrist. Those are kind of always let me know they're there. They're always a little in pain. But I put that on and wow, it's warming. And I use a combination of oils, black pepper with that too, and that's a warming oil. So it's like a ultra warming. And I do that in the winter. I would not use that blend in the summer because I swell and get hot in the summer. In the winter, I'm cold and achy. So I want warming in the summer, and then I'll use like geranium or not geranium, German chamomile in the summer because that's a cooling oil, and a peppermint. Those are both cooling oils. So you kind of have to alter a little bit. But so those are some of my favorite blends. Since I started making that blend for my knee, my knee never wakes me up at night anymore.
Nice.
So yeah, that's a
Awesome.
real nice. There's nothing like waking up in pain.
Right.
That's no fun.
And are you just putting it directly on your skin? Or are you mixing it with any other carrier oil or anything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. What you do is most essential oils need to be in a carrier oil. Essential oils on neat, a lot of them, some of them can cause severe reactions with the skin. Probably the only one you can put on neat and feel good about it is lavender. That's probably the only one. But most of them have to have a carrier oil like sweet almond oil, avocado oil, castor oil, argan oil. There's lots of carrier oils, coconut oil. And I usually use I use an oil called trauma oil. And trauma oil is a blend of 3 different oils: St. John's wort, calendula, and arnica. And these 3 mixed together formulate a wonderful blend to help with inflammation and pain and just swelling and achiness, and it's really nourishing for the skin. So I add my drops to the trauma oil, put the blend on, and I'm good. So I usually do that one at night, but I use it for all kinds of things. I make my own beauty products and shampoo and body wash, and I'll put essential oils in there. I diffuse essential oils. If I'm feeling a little stressed, lavender and Roman chamomile are great for calming the nervous system and just helping overall. There's also roll-ons and inhalers, so you can take your calming essential oils with you, which is pretty cool with the inhalers.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a multitude of ways to use essential oils to help calm the nervous system, de-stress yourself, help you refocus and energize yourself. Sometimes, chronic conditions can make you feel tired a lot because your body's always fighting something. And so it can feel tiring. So there's like sweet orange and grapefruit are very uplifting oils. They're like the happy oils is what I like to call them, because they just, I feel happy. And when we feel happy, we get it more energy. So it's kind of a double bonus there. It's some of the warnings for essential oils: never put essential oils on pets. If you are diffusing essential oils in a room, you need to have good ventilation for yourself and for your pet. Some essential oils can really irritate a pet, and they can't really tell you, but you need to have an opening so they can leave the room if they don't like that. And plus for yourself, you need to have good circulation and ventilation in a room. Let's see, and yeah, don't put them on meat. And I think I answered all the questions.
Yeah, I think that was great.
Yeah.
I'm
And
a big
children.
fan.
Yeah, I forgot about
Oh yeah,
kids.
children.
So most kids under 5, you probably don't want to use essential oils on at all. 10, like 5 to 10, you can use some, and there's a lot of safe kid oils, like lavender and orange is probably, it's a good safe kid oil. So some of the companies that you purchase your products from will tell you it's kid safe, and so that's really good.
Oh yeah, that's great
Yeah.
advice. I'm a big fan of essential oils, and especially when it comes to like air fresheners, like get rid of all the synthetic chemicals and
Oh
all the
man.
things that come with fragrances in them, your candles, all those things. Get rid of all that and just use essential oils. So
Yes.
much better for you. And it's going to have
Yes.
not only less harm, like you're going to get from all those synthetic chemicals and junk that are in the air fresheners and fragrance filled products, but you're actually going to get benefit out of the essential oils. So I think this is
That's
all great
right.
advice. And there's a lot of different ways to use them. And you've talked about a lot of those. So I think it's a
Yes.
fantastic thing.
Yeah, and the two main area or ways to use them is inhaling and applying them to your skin. And you're right, you inhale them and they can instantly, like lavender, instantly calms your nervous system. And you're just relaxed all over. All the cells that are being stressed can just really calm. And so it's pretty interesting. It works pretty fast. And yeah, so essential oils have just a broad range of helpful benefits.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so many different scents and purposes. Like you said, you can use them for energizing, you can use them for calming, you can use
Yeah.
them for focus and clarity, and just there's so many different uses. So you can go down a serious rabbit hole researching the different
Yes.
essential oils and all
I
their
do that.
purposes and how to use them. Yeah.
I do that. I love researching essential oils and getting in there and finding out, what their properties are. Are they anti-inflammatory, or they help with digestion, or do they help with your heads, or do they help with anything? I mean, just it's so much fun. I just, yeah, I can go down a rabbit hole when I start when I start looking into my essential oils and my database that I go to. It's just wonderful.
Yeah. So many
Yeah.
great
And
benefits.
a lot of times I typically for my clients, I'll customize a blend for them
Nice.
depending on what they want. Like the client I just worked with, she wanted something for calming and for pain. So customizing, usually ask them a series of questions. What smells do you like? Is your pain cold or hot? Is your stress sad or angry, so there's different things you can't just typically, I shouldn't say you can't, but it's a customized blend will help that person on a more personal level than just a generic blend. I guess
Well, that makes a lot of sense since, like you
yeah.
said, it's sometimes you feel down and sometimes you feel uptight, and yeah, they're going to have
Yeah.
completely different needs then for those two different sides of things. So that makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you have an autoimmune relief bundle that you have available, and we will definitely link that up. Can you just tell everyone really quickly kind of what that is and why they might want it?
Yes, I think everybody should get the autoimmune relief bundle because it has 5 simple practices in there that can help you feel good right away. There's 5 in there. 3 of them you'll see. Pardon me, you'll see immediate benefits, just like the calming hold is in there that I showed just a minute ago. And then 2 of them might take a little longer to see benefits. And one's about sleep and one's about supplements, but it's well worth it to get that information, because when we sleep is so important. And so, I mean, I know we hear about it all the time. Yeah, I know we need to get sleep, but I've got things to do. Or I had to take care of this, and so I had to stay up late, or I had to, or our sleep is interrupted all night. We'd be able to get to bed, but then we can't sleep through the night. And so our sleep is interrupted. So there's great tips in there about getting better sleep. So a simple little bundle. You just fill out the little form. You'll jump on my mailing list and get the bundle right away. We'll be sent to your inbox, and yeah. So I encourage you to get the bundle.
Love that. Yeah, we will definitely link all that up in the description of the show.
Great.
Anything else that we haven't talked about that you would like to share with everyone here today?
Yeah. Well, I just want everybody to know you are not, if you have an autoimmune condition, you are not your diagnosis. So often I saw this a few years back, quite a few years back. I knew this gal and she wasn't feeling good. She had some issues, and she was going to doctors. And I had been diagnosed before her, so I already kind of went through that. And so she was going to doctors. And once she got diagnosed, I mean, her whole demeanor changed. She just kind of went down. I have I don't even remember what it was now. I have fibromyalgia, or I have, whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. Just know you're not your diagnosis, and there is help. You can take your own health into your own hands. You don't have to 100% rely on doctors to tell you that you can't do anything about your condition except for take more medicine, because I prove them all wrong. Actually have more energy and feel better now than I did 20 years ago when I was first diagnosed. So you have a choice every single day of what you put in your mouth, how you move your body, what you allow in your mind, and essential oils. So
Yeah, I 100% agree with that message. And I think, that's a message that a lot of people need to hear, that this isn't
yeah,
a life sentence. This isn't a death sentence. This doesn't have to be your identity. There are always choices. I firmly believe that every condition can at least be improved upon, if not fully eliminated. And so I
I
think
do too.
there's so many things that we can do, and we're in control, but you have to be willing to do the work. So I think that's a powerful
Yes.
message. And
Yeah.
I completely agree with it. Thank you so much for sharing all of your story today and all of your wisdom about energy healing and essential oils and mindfulness and healthy eating and all the things that have helped you and that you use with your clients. I think this is going to be tremendously valuable for so many people. And we will for sure link up all of your contact information in the show, so anyone that wants to reach out and learn more about your work can do so.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. This is wonderful to be here. I love talking with you.
Yeah, it was a great episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
To everyone out there, we will catch you again on future episodes. Did you know I also work one-on-one with clients? I approach solving health challenges like I approached solving crimes, by conducting a thorough investigation into your case. Sadly, hundreds of millions of people in the US have insulin resistance, prediabetes, and diabetes, and the vast majority have no idea. I'm here to fix that. If you struggle with low energy, stubborn weight, hypertension, sleep disturbances, or any other undesired symptoms, let's talk. All you have to do is schedule a free call. The link will be in the show notes. And no, you do not need to live near me.